If you're a Geometry Dash player, you will see two distinct virtues of every Geometry Dash level. One of beauty, and one of difficulty. I myself have dabbled in both sides of the spectrum over the years, but in the past 2 years I have been on my playing journey, and so far I think I have done quite well.
Yes!
And it was on this journey that I naturally found myself drawn to lists in order to help with my playing progression, or just to look at cool levels. And in that spirit, in April 2024, I first came across a tweet by Miss Sobot saying that she found a very interesting little list where they just ranked the hardest achievements in the whole game, and I was, of course, intrigued by it. I would eventually join the server and, to say the very least, change my life forever. Okay, maybe it's not that serious, but it did open me up to a very fascinating experience that I've been going with for the better part of a year now. And since it will be the 2-year anniversary of the list soon, I have decided to make a very little video dedicating to the history of the hardest achievement list, the behind the scene of making the list, and the strange relationship we have with various parts of the top playing scene. And by the end of the video, we'll take a peek at a new beginning for the list. The existence of THAL have always been based off a single question. What is the hardest singular achievement in the entirety of Geometry Dash? Ever since the game's existence, people have argued about the hardest levels for years. And with that debate came the Demon List, a list to rank the hardest demons in the game. However, there are many restrictions when it comes to the list, due to one single factor, being that the levels have to be rated. And the rate system is notoriously janky and awkward, which means it can lead to a lot of dissatisfaction, and from there, people make their own lists. A group of players make sure the levels were fun and then taking them seriously, creating the challenge list. Another saw a bunch of levels never getting rated justifiably, so they create the unrated demon list. A different group saw a bunch of levels that aren't even verified yet and are way too hard and end up making the impossible level list. And then those lists create their offsprings, and those offspring create their own offspring, and the cycle just keeps going on and on and on until today, where there's practically a list economy for every single desired needs and every single skill set available at this point. Now, there's definitely a conversation to be had with the economy and how that's kind of taking away the enjoyment from other factors of the game and blah blah blah, ya ding dong. But I'm not here to talk about that because we're getting too off track. Anyways, all these lists together coexist completely separate to each other, making it kinda hard to track what is the hardest achievement in the entire game. And this is where the story of THAL truly begins. The story with THAL started with a man named Anseps, a supposed Frenchman, a university student, an old hand spammer, but most importantly, coder. One day in June 2023 though, while doing his usual studying, a voice came in his head.
Hello there.
Who are you?
You don't need to know. I heard you like playing this $4 game called Geometry Dash. Am I right?
Yeah.
I have a proposal to make. You see, the world runs on lists. Groups of people governing the Dash Land in their own separate ways. But the people, they are deeply unsatisfied. Demon lists, as of late, have been slipping their powers away. The playing landscape has fractured, beyond a point of fixation. I humbly request you an important task. To bring back the trust of the masses. To bring people of many communities, of different backgrounds, all different devices together. Make me a list where levels, challenges, low hertz, mid hertz, mobile, no clip, consistency, and 2-player are all playing on the exact same field, so that everyone can have their voices heard, even if it's the smallest one. Democracy for the people. Do this, and I shall shower you with fortune and riches.
I bet.
Be warned though, for as a list so diverse as yours, you will be questioned, interrogated, and mocked in your level placement. Overrating, underrating, list-worthy, not list-worthy opinions. The hard decisions that comes your way is not one for the weak-willed. Are you willing to do it?
You think I'm scared?
I'm not scared.
Oh yeah, sure.
And so, Ansep started his project. The journey originally started on the old and dusty Google documents where everything looks so painfully bare bone and malnourished. But for now, that's enough, and it functions well enough, right? And with this early foundation, the list would go live on June 15, 2023 at 5:59 a.m. At first, it was only for him, but then he invited a couple of other people to look at it. There's not much that happened in this period, and it would come to a close when Ansep started his Discord server. And this is where the shenanigans would truly begin. The Discord server, for a while, wouldn't really be doing much at this time because the list is mostly obscure. That doesn't mean that nothing was happening though. A couple of professional players did join like Savant and Sobot, and we also started accepting overkill achievements, aka doing the same level many times in a row. Then we had the changelog channel, then it was accepting LRR achievements. But by far, the most important event of this whole era was the change from documents to spreadsheets in August of 2024. This was mostly done in secret and it took around a month to complete. But apparently, according to Anseps, the switch process was like hell on earth. Ansep has to transfer every single entry on the old format to the new format. And not only that, but he also had to add even more features too. Showcases, thumbnails, versions, categories, CBF, creator list, dates, introductions, pending, submission list, player list, and so on and so forth. It was a lot of work for just a single man to do. That being said, once the list moved to the new format, it looks so much better. It contains so much more useful information in a much tidier and less clunky looking fashion, moving away from the nightmare-inducing, dust-selling documents of the ILL and towards a more uniform, complete look like the other mainstream lists. I guarantee that had it not been for the redesign, the list probably wouldn't have been as big as it is now. The redesign was done on September 11th, although I was not there to celebrate it. I was too busy liking Taylor Swift tweets on my timeline. And things after that would be well for a while. Well, only for a month really. You see, even though most of the list was pretty happy, there is one person that doesn't, and that was me. This is when I was beginning to get frustrated because Ansep and his list mods will not be placing my entries no matter how much I bugged them to do so. And after an entire month of just bugging them, I would do something that would bring the list to its modern day era. You see, prior to this point, I was only active in the list submission channel because I want to farm as many submission points as possible. However, I noticed that my submissions weren't getting any attention at all, not even whether or not they were added or not. And then I kind of figured out why. It's impossible to place these levels if we don't have any opinions on it. And it's impossible to get any opinions on a server, which at the time only had 15 members and 4 active members and 2 whose opinions actually matter. The hardest level of our team was done by Vaughn, and even then, it wasn't even close to the ballpark of actually good players. And so, I decided on an afternoon on October 22nd, 2024, the executive decision to start a server-wide expansion operation, starting with a mass server invite. And so, Starting at 18:45 p.m., I began aggressively promoting the server across as many places I possibly could. And after that, I would also begin to also ask as many players as possible for their opinions. And from there, the server and the list would begin to take off slowly but surely. Players like Seal, M, Big Mac, Doggy, and Zoing would all notice and have certain levels of engagement with the list. And there were many special events that happened too, like a challenge list relocation or acceptance of mobile records and multi-level entries in 2.1 records. Then we have our own First Space UK, then it was the whole MPreg consistency movement. Then it's making the list more complete, and recently it's a whole splash text event. I would eventually become a list mod in this era after basically running the list for them for a while, and once I did, the amount of entries on the list just exploded. If you saw the changelog, you will see that I personally place a ton of these entries, so much so that we had to set a new and current threshold of Zodiac, and even then, it has already felt like we need a new threshold. That being said though, in order to place this many entries, the opinions that go into every one of them is gonna be finicky at best. That's kind of why THAL has earned the reputation of dartboard placement, where every entry could be placed anywhere from 1 to 400 entries off. And look, on one hand, it's definitely a me problem, as I would just rather see the entry placed immediately on the list before I could even find an opinion. That bad practice is 100% my fault, and I am perfectly fine with being blamed. On the other hand though, opinions does vary even with multiple victors of the single level placed on the specific list, let alone achievements that you are the only one that have done it. And many of the players I reach out to don't even want to give opinions, and then what are you gonna do about that? The entries being inaccurate is basically everyone's fault here, although we still do try our best to ask for opinions wherever we can. If you're watching this video, that would mean you could be in this new era for THAL. Google Sheets was a good option, but not a great one personally for me. The list still has tons of changs and annoyances to deal with, and facing more technical difficulties with time, Amseth decided to officially start work on the website. Progress is going pretty smoothly so far, and it's looking like it could be done before this video could be out, so look out for that. Looking back, I don't think the list was supposed to go as far as it did from Amseth's original vision. With the way that it was and how far both me, he, and this list has gone in the past 2 years, I am more than happy with the outcome that it brings. Obviously, there are many challenges and hardships along the way, and every hard decision we get through is just another crash out ready to happen. But as far as I know, the list is more popular than ever, it's more notorious than ever, and more importantly, more complete than ever. And now, I hope you can say hello to it. I want to end this video on a bit more of a personal note, since my next written video does include them. My time in the GD community has been mostly obscure, just like most people. The 300 friends or something I had in the community, most of them I don't talk to anymore. My old YouTube videos have either been deleted or left to rot in the almighty algorithm. Every project I always think was gonna be the biggest one, yet looking back, they feel so painfully tiny now. And this project might be too. Maybe in a few years I'll look back and see this list as just another footnote in my journey to whatever I'm doing next. But for now, I really enjoy doing it. Other people seem to enjoy doing it, and I also hope that you also enjoys watching this video and seeing this list too, no matter how serious you will take this list.
If you like my diatribe, subscribe.